Hey guys, and welcome. We're going to do today a shifter seal. Today we're doing it on a KTM 300 EXCE. I'm sure it'll be very similar on a lot of different models. So I've already done the countershaft seal, already done that today. So I've already got the sprocket off and the chain guard and the chain just sitting down there nicely. So got a fair bit of room to play with. Probably to do the seal there, it wouldn't hurt to get this off just to give you a bit more room to get to it, but I don't think it would be necessary. So with this seal, it's just a pull out push in sort of one. We just got to figure out a way of getting it out, and today I'm going to use the screw method because I don't have any sort of seal pickers or anything like that. Okay, so I've got a tiny little hole in there. I haven't drained the gearbox oil, so I'm just going to let that do its thing. Now I've got a nice little hole in there, so it's time to find a little wood screw that's going to suit. Okay, so I've used a screw there to pop it into the hole, and from there it's a matter of pulling the seal, pulling on the screw to remove the seal out. Okay, so it's a bit tricky where it is. And we need to give it a bit of a tap sort of thing to get it out, so it's I'm gonna have to sort of attach it to something and give it a bit of a yank. Okay, so we've got the wire attached firmly to the screw now, and we've got the pliers attached here, so let's give it a tap and see what we can do. There we go, done as easy as that. So let's just pull the screw in there. So you can see the screw wasn't touching the shaft at all. It was just sitting on the side of the seal there, and it's just popped it out nicely. Too easy. So what we'll start by doing now is just giving it a nice little clean in there and just making sure there's no grit and gunk, because that's what that's what causes the leakages in the first place. So we'll just give it a nice little clean out with a shop rag in there and make sure it's nice and tidy. Give it a little visual inspection as well and feel around with your finger, have a good little look in there and just make sure there's nothing that's going to cause any problems. What we do then with the new seal is, or what I always do is, I just make sure that they've got a little bit of lubrication on them, one, so that they slip over nicely on where they're going to go, but two, just to make sure there's no sort of grit going to go into it as you do it. So we've got the gearbox oil coming out at the moment because I don't have the bike on its side, so we'll just use that, make sure it's nicely lubed up and ready to go on. So with all seals, you want to make sure they go on nice and straight. This one I'm just going to push in and get ready there, get it nice and straight. And the most difficult part is just starting it, is just getting it started on one side. Before, if you give it a little tap with one side, it'll usually knock in well. It's probably best to use some sort of socket about the right size to tap it in and nice and straight. So here's a socket that I've got with that's around about the right size, and it's pretty long too, so it's going to be a bit easier for me to tap it with that seal being all the way in. So what we'll do is we'll start off with this socket, and you just want to keep an eye on it. That's the main thing, is just watching and making sure that it's nice and straight. See, it's not going in straight there at the moment, so you need to make sure that it's all going in nice and flat. Keep checking it all the time, making sure it's going home where it should be, and depending on different seals and things, sometimes they'll push all the way home to a certain spot. Most seals though, you just go till they're flat and flush with the spot that they're going into. This socket's working perfectly, and it's nicely home all the way around now. Just a little bit more at the top there is not going to hurt. There we go. Perfect. And so that's nicely all the way home everywhere, all the way around there. And fingers crossed, should be nice and sealed there now. Well, we're going to refit the shifter now. We've refitted the front sprocket here. Like I said earlier, I'm sure you could do it all with it off. There's enough clearance, there's enough everything to do it all with it off. With everything on especially the rattly two-strokes, is you want to Loctite all of your bolts and nuts that you put on. So just clean up the thread a little bit on the shaft here where your new seal is, and you want to then a little bit of Loctite onto the bolt, and then you can refit your bolt onto the shifter, and you're all done. And you just have to get your shifter in the same position that it was originally. You might want to mark it, but I know exactly where mine sits all the time anyway. It's a pretty common spot, so just refitting that. It was a 8mm bolt, so let's just refit that now. Now, I'm not one of these torque wrench guys that, you know, does everything to the exact tightness. I mean, you can do if you want, but I just do them so that they're tight enough not to come off. I use Loctite on everything, tight enough not to come off, but not so tight that you're going to strip the thread. It's just, you know, pretty well common sense there, I think. Some of the things, obviously, on the bike, you want to make sure that you're doing the right torques on and whatever, but with these sort of things, just want to nip it up so that it's nice and tight. Definitely not going to come out, but it's not so tight that you're going to strip the thread. And so that now is your shifter seal done. Now that the shifter seal's done, you definitely want to go for a test ride. Take it for a good ride, heat it right up, shifting through all the gears obviously, and getting that shifter moving up and down constantly. And from there, then you want to just visually inspect for any leaks and make sure that there's no oil coming out. And if there's no oil coming out, you're good to go.